Welcome everybody to season two, episode five of Outside the Barn. I'm one third of Outside the Barn podcast, Kendall Shell. Before we get into today's episode, some really exciting news to share with you guys. Outside the Barn is partnered with Underdog Fantasy. On top of that, I've got even better news. They're going to match any of yours first deposits of up to $100. So the only way you can get in on this special is by downloading the Underdog app and then use our code. No other code. Use our code OTB24. Even if you're already registered but haven't deposited, you can still use the promo. When you do, Underdog's going to match your first deposit up to $100. So really, what are you waiting for? Get started today and let's play with Underdog Sports all season long.
Man, what's up, man? Appreciate y'all having me on. Been good. Played professional ball for a few years after graduating from the U. Then I went back to school, got my MBA from Carlson. Then then I came back to Minneapolis, got engaged to Rachel Banham, and now I'm working at General Mills as a financial analyst. I've been there for a little over a year and a half. So life's been good. Can't complain.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Well, congrats on all that. Congrats on the success. Congrats on the engagement. I'm sure Gopher fans are happy to hear that the Gopher love and basketball story has continued on. So I'm sure they're happy about that, man. But glad you could jump on here. I know Trevor, Blake, we're all super excited to jump into this. But before we jump in, man, let me check in with my guys here. Blake, how we doing today?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Just got over little sicknesses in the household recently, but been watching the games via the television, and obviously last couple games weren't too great, but played at Indiana, which is a tough place to play. I never got a win down there, so I was part of that statistic where I don't think we've won down there in a long time. And then obviously the at home versus Iowa was a tough one. I thought we had a chance to get the win there, especially we started out pretty well, but. Other than that, doing all right, and looking forward to hearing from Andre and talking a little bit about Gopher Hoops.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, let's get right into that. I think I saw Andre Hollins a little bit on the screen yesterday during the game. So I know he had a front row seat to that Iowa game. I know it was a frustrating game for a lot of us watching. So, man, let's just jump right into it. Dre, put on the coach's hat. What did you see last night from the game?
Last night we started off with a good pace. I think we hit mostly all of our shots. Got in a good rhythm. Then it just kind of fell apart. We couldn't sustain it. I think defensively was our biggest failure in that game. Got beat on a lot of back doors and just kind of some one-on-one matchups where we got beat. And, Iowa and Fran McCaffrey, they always run a great structured offense, a lot of back doors, a lot of pin downs, a lot of good action away from the ball. And we didn't do a good job containing it. But, it's a part of the Big Ten season. You got to live and learn.
Yeah, for all you guys that don't know, I think Dre, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were a grad assistant for a while with the Gophers too. So obviously we're behind the scenes with the coaching staff. Obviously, not this coaching staff. I think it was the Tino one, right? Or was it this coaching staff?
I was with this. I split time between.
Yeah, so you know what's going on in the locker room. I mean, obviously you were a player, but also you had your coaching hat on. So interesting to hear your viewpoint on how the team's doing. And I don't know if you're still pretty involved and behind the scenes with them, but what we said last year and this year is they just gotta stay positive, man. I mean, they've lost a couple in a row, but as we know, we're on the top of the conference with a couple wins in the Big Ten before that, and obviously, we all know you hit some rough patches throughout the Big Ten. It's just tough once you lose one, and two, it can go down. My senior year, Trevor remembers that. I mean, we just one after another, we just kept losing and losing and losing. It just you don't want that to be a common thing amongst your team. So as much as they can stick their head out and get out of this kind of rut, I think that's going to be huge. And I think the upperclassmen are going to be the ones that have to do it for them.
Yeah, I agree with you there. What I'd say about the team mentality, I think they're a great group of guys, and they're really positive. I was there with Parker Fox and Isaiah Enan. Who else? I think those are the only two that are left from when I was a GA. And I know those guys' personality, they've had to stay positive for the past 2 years, and they're kind of leading by example in their forefront for the younger players. And I'm talking to the coaches and friends on the team. The younger players learned a lot from last year, and they've kind of carried that over, and we've seen it in glimpses. Like the Michigan game, they looked incredible. The Michigan game was incredible. Like I'm still extremely optimistic. It's just we're gonna have to string together like some wins in the Big Ten. Now it's getting into the thick of things, and teams know that we're good. They're preparing, so it's a different mentality that you have to take. But I'm extremely optimistic about the team. I'm excited.
No, that's a good point. I mean,
Yeah,
I think teams used to come in at least last year and was like, all right, we can beat up on these guys. This year, I think it's a little different. I mean, we do have some talent. We do have some guys. Obviously, unfortunately, we've been kind of going with how we're shooting the ball. And if we're not shooting the ball well, it's kind of been a struggle to us. But I do think teams are a little, I don't want to say scared to play us, but, a little scared. They don't know what team's going to come out, right? It's not like we have one or two guys. I mean, we got a bunch of guys that can do some things, and we just need to play for an entire game. We see glimpses each and every game of like, man, why don't they just keep doing this? And whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a full half, we just need a full game of it, right? Because we all know in the Big Ten you can go up 10 and then not lose by 20, right? Hopefully, to your point, we can string some together and string some glimpses and get them away from just a brief glimpse to a full glimpse in a full game or a stretch of games. Kendal, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no. First, I was going to agree on everything you just said. And second, I was just going to ask a question to you guys. So I know yesterday I hit Dre up, texted him. I was like, man, that might have been one of the most frustrating games I had in a while. And a lot of it probably has to do with one specific stat that you guys probably are aware of. But they shot 5 for 29 from 3 yesterday. 5 for 29. I just want to repeat that. They shot 23 for 29 in the paint. So obviously not around the team often. Obviously don't know their strengths. But I do know usually when something's working well, you probably should lean towards, and when something's not working well, you shouldn't. And I'm just wondering, as a coach going forward, because there's been a couple games where you've been kind of shaky from behind the arc. And I mean, I got 2 shooters on here, and Trevor used to shoot a lot in practice, but like, I'll never be somebody to be like, yo, like, stop shooting, right? Like, I hate when coaches do that. I don't think coaches should ever do that. But I think to a point yesterday, there was entirely too many times where they settled and they just shot themselves out the game. So I'll start with you, Dre, since you're very close to the team and you were there yesterday with that. Like, what are your thoughts on kind of that, and how do you kind of go forward with that and kind of, I guess, push them to keep taking the shots, but also push them to take better shots, quite frankly?
First off, you got to tip your hat off to Iowa and their 1-2-2. We all know that's a wonky defense to go against, because once you get across to half court, you probably have 20 seconds left on the shot clock. So then, you're trying to set something up, and I think that's where we got flustered and where we couldn't get into the sets we want, and we were kind of uncomfortable. And then that was because of their that 1-2-2 zone that they've been running for years under Fran. And it's difficult to go against because they give up. I think the strategy on their defense is to give up those corner shots. The corner shots, wing shots, and we weren't hitting them. So we worked to their advantage. So it comes from, I don't know, getting a feel, playing Iowa. There's Elijah's
Hawkins?
first game
Yep.
playing against Iowa. Yeah. Elijah's first game playing against Iowa. Cam Christie's first game. Mike Mitchell. Those are our main guards, So it's tough. It's tough, and I just have to say it's that Iowa defense that kind of got us out of a rhythm, and we couldn't find it.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, that is a good point, and I'd said it on some previous ones, and I think Kendal and Trev, you agreed or said it as well. But whether it's right or wrong, I don't think we really have anyone on our team that can just shake and bake and break someone down and create their own shot. So all of a sudden, when you got 15, 20 seconds left on the clock, we don't necessarily have a team that's going to be able to just be like, all right, we got 10 seconds left, just, take someone off the dribble and get a good shot, right? That's just not going to be our offense. It's not our offense this year. Hopefully, in the coming years, we'll have somebody that can do that. But to your point, Dre, is, Iowa's defense gets you down, and all of a sudden you're looking at a 15, 20-second shot clock, and you got to whip together something quick. And I think that was part of the reason. And Kendal, I like what you said. I mean, I don't like coaches that – we all have had coaches that did it that like say don't shoot the ball, right? And it's just like you just totally get in the player's head. But at some point, there was a couple shots yesterday. I think we all can agree, and we don't want to say don't shoot, but like we were missing left and right, and we were also missing left and right with poor shot selection as well. And part of that could have been we didn't have much time on the shot clock, but a couple of them were like, why did we shoot that? And part of me was like, a couple times Hawkins, I mean, it almost looks like he's going to go into the paint and create something, and then he pulls it back out. And it's like, I feel like he needs to like keep going down and maybe not shoot it. I know he's pretty small, but like make something happen in the paint and dish it out from there. But to your point, Dre, I mean, that you brought up a good point that I didn't even think about for that Iowa defense and what their philosophy was around that.
Well,
I agree.
Yeah, it was frustrating playing against them because it's like, okay, I'm looking up. You could try to break it on the dribble, but you really don't want to. Then we were passing it to Dawson. We started passing it to Dawson and I know Isaiah. We're trying to kick it ahead, then get the ball back, then get the offense set up. So that's just a lot going on for I think our young guards. It's a lot to kind of hone in and get everything settled down. So I don't know. It's just I think it's one of those learning experiences.
Yeah, I mean, we have a young. I mean, a couple guys that are older, but we have a lot of new guys and a lot of young guys and people that haven't played in the Big Ten. So we also got to understand that. I don't want to be a Gopher fan and say that each and every year, like, oh, this is a young team, this is a new team, they haven't played. But just quite candidly, over the past 2, 3, 4 years, that's just been what the cards we've dealt with, and we've been a young team and team that hasn't been all together for a long time. I mean, sure, we got a couple guys that have been here for a little bit, but we also got to be, I don't want to say optimistic, but we got to understand where they're coming from, and hopefully they can learn from it, not just after this year, but quickly after that last game, because we got a bunch of games left in the Big Ten that we need to get some wins out of.
You got to fast in the Big Ten, or it could go downhill quick. We all know
that. Happened quick. Our senior year, Dre didn't start off too well in the Big Ten conference, but we don't have to touch upon that too much. But I got a question for you, Dre, during this time, because we know, like you guys just talked about, they're about to hit that adversity real quick. These young guys like Cam Christie, right? Mike Mitchell, like from Pepperdine West Coast Conference to the Big Ten, like it's gonna get scary. Well, we got Michigan State coming up, Wisconsin. We've got some guys coming up. So, Dre, since you've been around the locker room, man, tell me a little bit about the style of Coach Johnson right now, like how you see him kind of pushing the guys forward, and then just in general, give us a little glimpse into that locker room, because I think for us three, we can all kind of agree we see him as more of a player's coach, but maybe kind of what does that really mean? You can see the guys rally around him a lot. So in a situation like this, like, what do you think that looks like from Coach Johnson and from the locker room?
It's a lot different because I've been in situations where, you're losing and then you're also fighting the coach as well. And it's not that situation here. He keeps everybody together. A lot of positivity. He harps on setting the standard, keeping the standard. And that's focusing on the team, ourselves, not the outside noise, not all the negativity, because we've been dealing with a lot of negativity the past 2 years. Just with don't have a deep bench, a lot of injuries. So it's about controlling what you can control. That's been the biggest thing, and I think you've done a great job with that with the guys. Like I don't see them down. They're great. He also recruits great high character people. Like Tubby did. Like he had recruited all of us. The guys are great. They rally around each other, and I think the biggest thing that I would say that Coach Johnson, and I tip my hat off to him, is his attention to detail, and on and off the court. Like it's uncanny actually. Like I really appreciate learning while I was under there for a year. I appreciate learning that from him and getting to know the players, on the court and off the court. So it's not a kind of a disconnect. It's always fluid. It's a fluid relationship. And I think that spills over, and it's going to keep the guys positive at times of adversity and have things to rally around.
No, that's amazing.
Do you see yourself ever getting back into the coaching world?
Collegiately, I don't think so. No, I don't. Settling down, I have a house here in New Hope. I thought about it, and I spent my whole life traveling. It's been kind of revolved around basketball, and coaching. It's a grind. It's a different grind. I have to kind of start back from even though I have that graduate assistant, still I have to start back at a lower level, and I'm not 22, just graduating college. I'm 31 now, so got to think about a family, So it's a lot to think about. I would think about high school. I'd be cool with coaching high school. How about you? Anybody else? Y'all thinking about stepping into coaching, and it's up?
I had my brief stint. I will go back probably when my kids get older and I have more freedom. It's a grind, even from the high school level, the long nights. I see the stress in Coach Johnson. You prepare for a team to play and they do the exact opposite. It's that frustration. But I would love to down the road.
I just couldn't. I wouldn't want to do the whole recruiting thing, man. I think practice and games, sure. I mean, the hours kind of suck because you're working at night, you're working during the day. But just the recruiting, that would just get too old, especially with, I'm sure we were prima donnas too when we were getting recruited, but I just feel like it's even worse now. And with NIL and transfer portal, man, it's just, there's too many things and people and different things where you can lose kids if you don't play them. If you get a high talented kid and they're not ready to play freshman year, but you feel pressure to play them because you don't want to lose them to the transfer portal next year. It's too much.
That's a different beast. You're
not only recruiting other players, you're recruiting your own players that same year.
Yeah. That's wild. That's a different aspect where I'm like, yeah.
Ray, what's your stance? We've talked about this a little bit, but what's your stance? I'll give you my stance. I think the transfer portal is bad for college basketball. I like that. I think if a coach were to leave or something like that, like you should be able to enter the transfer portal and not have to sit out a year. But I think if you're just transferring to transfer because things aren't going well, like I think you should still have to sit out a year like you used to. And I think that would calm down everyone moving around so much. But what's your sense on it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Obviously you came to the University of Minnesota. You had multiple coaches. So, you could have been one that, hey, and I'm sure, you don't have to say yes or no, but I'm sure you contemplated transferring. Not that you didn't love Patino or something like that, but anytime a new coach comes in, it's like, all right, maybe I should look for a new home. And you didn't, which Gopher fans, we were all happy you didn't. But if the transfer portal or what it is today, do you still think, one, do you like it? And do you do you think you would have maybe looked to transfer, with that?
It's funny. Just I was just talking to somebody about it today because they asked me the same question. So it's a double-edged sword because from one aspect, I agree with it. I like it in the fact that there's some coaches that sell players' dreams, and that doesn't come to fruition. It's actually players out there that would benefit from transferring. It benefits them their career and just transferring. And on the other end, like you mentioned, there are players that are just transferring just because things didn't work out, or kind of what Coach Smith said, we're teaching the kids to quit. Whenever adversity hits, I'm just gonna pack my stuff and
no one
leave.
looks themselves in the mirror and says, like, how can I get more playing time? Maybe I need to get better, right?
So with that, it's like which side do you weigh on? I'm kind of in the middle with it, but I do agree there should be something in place. It should be something where it shouldn't be just a wild wild west where it's like it's guys playing 5 years for 5 different teams. Like that doesn't, where's the loyalty? Or what do you teach? What are you teaching the guy once they get to when their career is over? Adversity hits, what you're just going to keep jumping from place to place, you know? So it's a tough one. Now, I don't envy being in the NCAA, the people who have to try to come up with these rules.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about players transferring?
I don't like that.
I think they should be like, hey, if you're going to transfer, you can't transfer for the next.
Well, Dre, I don't know if you remember this, or maybe I made this up, but I thought at least when I was in college, the Big Ten had something where you couldn't take a scholarship if you transferred within the Big Ten. Like they couldn't give you a full ride. You would have to, if you did do it, you have to walk on. Maybe I made that up, but I could have sworn that was a rule.
I think I remember something to the effect like you can't. It was something to where you were penalized for transferring in conference. I remember it.
But obviously that's not a thing now. With somebody that was close to our heart playing for the Gophers and beat us down a little bit when we played them at Ohio State. But we're in a different era now, and we all gotta, be flexible and do what's happening. But I don't know, Kendal, do you want to? Should we fire Dre some questions?
Man,
Dre, I got some quick and easy questions for you, and then we can get into kind of Michigan State and some other things. And you guys get in too. But first one, I'll do something easy. What is your favorite restaurant on campus when you were in college?
On campus?
Don't pick the wrong thing.
I have 2 in mind. It have to be. For breakfast. It's for breakfast. Tony's Diner.
Yep.
Hands down, breakfast Tony's Diner. Then I would say for like lunch and dinner and specials, Be Loco, Burrito.
Those are 2 good ones.
Those
are 2 good ones.
Hell, what was y'all?
I didn't have Tony's Diner when he was just our kind of like chef or whatever when I was in school. But I'd probably say Burrito Loco was up there. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah.
What about you, Trevor?
I'll go Tony's for breakfast. Ooh, Al's breakfast was good too, though. But Tony's our guy, so I gotta say Tony.
Shout out to Tony.
Al's breakfast was second, though.
Shout out.
All right, another one. I know you focused on basketball your whole time, so maybe you didn't do this very much. But if you were to go out to what was your go-to bar when you were above age? What was your favorite place to go out?
Barn Dog or Barney's and Be Loco.
Right.
Yeah. Those are
all right. What was your favorite memory as a Gopher? Just one.
Oh, beating number 1 Indian. Well, Yeah, I go with beating number 1 Indiana when they stormed the court.
And that was what
What else were you thinking
sophomore
about?
year?
Sophomore year, yeah.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
was traveling for
But-
work and I watched. I was in Florida. That was crazy. I wish I was at that game. It looked awesome. And that's when they had
It was
Oladipo
dope.
and Zeller, right? A bunch of those guys.
Yeah, Trail put Zeller on
You were still playing, man?
Zeller like down.
Oh,
I was still playing.
Yeah,
That was my
he was 2 years old.
8 years.
that was my last. I know. New York, I tore my
Oh,
ACL
yeah.
afterwards, so I got the extra year. But yeah, I was
Damn.
still there.
yeah.
That was a cool for me.
Man. All right. I don't know if you
What's
guys
your
want
other
to throw a
one,
couple
Ray?
at them, but I'll throw one more, and then you guys throw a couple. But gonna put you on the spot a little bit, and it's not saying someone's not a great coach, but your favorite coach that you played for
In
in
college,
college.
I gotta go with Tubby,
All
man.
right.
Tubby. I gotta go with
All right.
Tubby.
And that doesn't say the other coaches aren't good, but it was your first coach in college, and he recruited you, so that's understandable.
And we went to the tournament. We did big things.
All right.
So yeah.
I want to know where's your favorite place to play in the Big Ten.
It have to be. Indiana was dope.
Did you ever win there though?
Yeah, we won my
Oh, you
freshman
did?
year. You know?
I don't think Trev.
Our
Did you ever?
freshman year.
I mean, I guess you were on that team, but when I don't think we ever won. My era, I don't think.
I don't.
I remember Ralph Sampson got posterized by Pritchard one year. Remember that?
Oh yeah. That still was like I was watching from home and the TV was shaking.
Dre, I don't know if you recall. I mean, I'm sure it was crazy down there. Indiana wasn't even that good, but we never won down there for some reason. But I remember I got fouled on like a 3-pointer. Or no, it was a technical or something, right? I had 2 or 3 free throws, and I missed them all because I swear to God, the rim was just shaking like this. They were going wild, and I won't forget that because I hated missing free throws, much less both of them or all 3 of them, whatever it was. Oh, it's terrible, but that's a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
Good setup too when the fans are on top of you, like
Yeah.
looking down the court.
Yeah, it was a crazy atmosphere. Like it have to be Indiana.
Dre, I got one for you, and then maybe Kendall's got one. If you, and maybe this is on the new web or internet or whatever, but if you didn't go to Minnesota, where would you have gone, or where would you wish you would have gone?
Stanford.
So that was on your final. That was your
Stanford,
final 2.
That was my actually. Yeah, the people don't know this. So it was. I was really wanted Stanford, but they were recruiting Chase and Randall, and we played Chase and Randall in twice in college in the NIT championship our freshman year, and then Bahamas.
Remind me, where did you play again? Stanford?
Yeah, he was the
Okay.
point guard for Stanford. So it was between him and I'd taken my visit, and afterwards I was like, yeah, I think I want to go to Stanford. I was telling my parents and stuff, and I think my mom looked up, I think it was an article that came out and was saying like Stanford was waiting on Jason Randall to decide. I think he would visited Illinois because he's from Chicago.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay. And I told Adam Schreiger, he was the assistant. I don't know where he is now, but told him I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready to commit. He was like, oh, let's just wait because then I don't know how it is now. Like Stanford and Harvard, you had to apply
To get in.
and you have to get accepted
Yeah.
to get in. So they were saying like, yeah, we're just waiting to hear back on your acceptance or whatever. So I was like, And my mom read that off. I was like, oh, so I'm second. I'm second to Chase, and he ended up committing. And then they were like, oh yeah, we
Oh, really? So you were
there's
gonna
not
go to
another
Stanford?
Yeah, I was gonna go to Stanford.
Wow.
And then
And who was the coach there? Dawkins? Or
Johnny
John
Dawkins.
Dawkins.
Johnny Dawkins. Yeah. he was the coach there. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Stanford. I'm gonna go the academic route. Go to Harvard. I'm gonna go the academic route, even though it's completely different. Like you can tell the academics is important.
Yeah.
Like they don't, they still bus everywhere. I think they were still living in the dorms. And then
Is that Tommy Amick?
Yep, Tommy Amaker. And they were on me hard. It was like I would talk to them for like an hour on the phone.
What were your final 5 schools then? Wasn't Memphis in there?
It was no. I didn't want to stay home. It was too many guards, like Joe Jackson, Chris Crawford, Will Barton was there a year. I think he was there a year. So it was just too many guards. Not a lot of opportunity. But they did recruit me. But my final 5 was Auburn, Stanford, Minnesota, Ole Miss, and Stanford.
Harvard.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harvard. Yeah.
All right. That's a good story, man.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to go to Harvard. And my high school coach, Jesus Patino, sat me down and he's like, so do you want to play professional? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, go with the national championship coach. You're playing in Big Ten, one of the best conferences in the nation. You're playing on TV every night. And I really liked Carlson too, like, because I was on the academic aspect trying to see like what where the program stood academic wise. And I was like, you know what? I really liked my visit. Austin was already there. All the guys were cool, and I was like, let's do it. And the opportunity was there. You and Al left, so I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So I was like, there's some opportunity.
But that's good. I mean,
so, yeah.
You mentioned Carlson, so I was an in-state kid, went to Carlson, which one of the top business undergrad schools in the country. But you don't hear that often from out-of-state kids understanding that, and then drinking the Kool-Aid, as I call it, where like if you want to stay in state, right? There's a lot of you're working at General Mills now, right? So everyone, the dream, they always tell you, the coaches are like, hey, you played for the U. You're a well-known kid. You can go try to play professionally, but you come back if you want to stay in the cities. Like there's gonna be a place for you to work, whether it's General Mills or Cargill or all the big Fortune 500, Best Buy, Targets, etc. And kind of, I think people don't quite understand that. You're one of the unique ones where you're out-of-state kid and you end up moving back and residing and staying in Minnesota. Part of that could have been your lovely fiance, I'm sure, but you also are, like Minnesota, and it's a good thing for people to understand.
Well, yeah, I love it, and to shout out to the city. Like when you really think about the Big Ten, I mean, Minneapolis is like outside of Northwestern and maybe Maryland. Like, I mean, Columbus is okay. Like Minneapolis is up there. Like just living situation, opportunity. It's not a Bloomington, Indiana. It's not a Champaign, Illinois. It's not a Lincoln, Nebraska, Eastland,
West Lafayette,
Ann Arbor, West Lafayette. Like Minneapolis is so much better than those cities. But I don't know. It's I just looked at it from a long-term perspective, and it ended up working out. Love to
All right, before you rattle one off, I keep saying last one, but give me a story on. I'm assuming Kendal would guard you sometimes in practice.
Yes.
So give me a story. You ever, does he got some ankle sprains from you, or like, how was Kendal getting up in your grill, man?
Kendal would be annoying because he would come in like. He'd be annoying. Like he'd come in. I wouldn't say he'd foul, but he'd be real physical. He'd be real physical with you.
I had to toughen Dre up, man. I had to toughen Dre up. Tubby said toughen him up at the beginning. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
It's funny because Lawrence Westbrook and I used to go at it, but man, I never told him, but I swear to God, he would always like the moment I'd get open and have like a shot or like get to the bucket, like he'd just outright foul me. Like, even if it was just like he fouled me on a 3-point shot so I couldn't see the ball go in, it was annoying as hell because he just never wanted me to, like, score or, like, show that I, see the ball go in and you just foul. Like, and he was super aggressive, probably like Kendal was, and it's just there was nothing more annoying because a foul in practice, like it does nothing, right? Like you stop the play, you start over again. Like there's just no positivity from
Exactly. But Kendall brought the energy. Kendall brought the energy for sure. He was never lacking that.
Kendall, you had the ponytail freshman year still, right? At that time,
Absolutely
or
not. No. But when I saw, I met you with it, Trevor. I met you before, but no, not freshman year.
it. Wait, you had a ponytail? I don't know
Yeah.
this. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
high
Like
school, but you
long
weren't.
hair or like
You
what?
weren't around here. Yeah, long.
All right. Did not know that.
No, but with Dre, yeah, Dre it was a fun matchup though, man. Like for real, like it was him. When DeAndre Matthew came, that was fun as hell
Oh,
too.
yeah.
When Nate Mason came as a freshman too, like okay, like those were some real because it was about 3, 4 of us. It was a few other guards, and we really go at it. Like that was a good time. That's when we were tired as hell though. It was different during that time, but yeah, man, it was different, man. You guys tough, and Tubby was tough, but Patino practice was a little different at the beginning. Like he came in guns blazing, running everywhere, like completely different style, man. It was difficult, but yeah, man. Dre, I got one question hoop wise for you though. It might not be the best question memory for you, but opposing matchup. Who was the toughest guy that you remember that you had to face in college? In college, and it has to. I mean, they probably gave you buckets, so I'm sorry you gotta bring it up again. But who was that? Who was that person?
I wouldn't say a lot of guys just killed me straight buckets, but I have to say one guy was on ESPN our senior year, D'Angelo Russell. He killed me on ESPN. He had like 20 at half, and it was so difficult.
And it was slow too, right? Like, isn't he slow, kind of?
Methodical, like slow, and they set so many damn screens for him. And I was already tired from trying to press. And then I'm trying to guard an All-American. And like their offense was so perfect for him. Like it was so spread open. You know, he's shifty. He's 6'4", he's taller, so he already had me beat on height. So yeah, he messed me up that game. That was it was at the barn too. We wore black jerseys, never wore them again. Never wore them again. I caught a cramp that game.
Yeah, right. You caught a cramp. You just wanted to get out of there. You were done. You don't want to keep getting buckets on you. You were the Jalen Rose of Kobe, man.
Dude, he went crazy. But it didn't have to be him. I think one of the funnest matchups was against Trey Burke. We used to go at it. Me and him used to go at it, like go back and forth. It was just one like he killed me like D'Angelo. I would get mine too. So
Trey Burke was on a different level. That was sophomore year.
All world. That team, the Michigan team was ridiculous, bro.
They were really good.
They were Hardaway.
Now go back to our sophomore year and look at all the rosters. I think we had 8 or 9 teams in the. I know it was 8.
Oh yeah, we had 9 one year. It might have been that year.
It was 9 teams, bro. It was at least like 10 NBA players, and the rest are pros.
It was so different. It was so different. All right, last question for you, Dre, before we wrap up here with one quick Michigan State prediction from each of us. Quick question. You shouldn't have to think too long. Best chicken wings in Minneapolis.
Best chicken wings? Ooh. I've had a lot. Best chicken wings. I have to say it'd be between D Spot and Ray J's. Smoky Ranch, extra crispy. Those two.
Respect. That's respect. That's respect. That's respect. I would say Monte Carlo is up there. No, not Runyons. I would say Monte Carlo's up there, but we can talk about that a different time. But Monte Carlo definitely deserves one of those top spots. But fellas, let's wrap up here with some predictions, man, as we go forward. Trevor, I'm gonna start with you real quick. We got Michigan State coming up here, man. Quick prediction on your side. What do you see from this, and what do you have to do to win the game?
I think we have to start to win the game. We have to come out strong. I think some of what's been hurting us the last few games that we're getting off to slow starts, and especially on the road when the fans get behind it, it's a tough place to play. But I think we can go out the road to win. I think Michigan State. I think they're kind of going through some similar. Their season hasn't been how they projected it to be. Weren't they top 15 coming into the season or something like that? And so I'm projecting a win. We're going to be back on a winning streak.
That's what's up. I see
Blake?
Blake?
Yeah, man. I'm with you, Trev. I mean, I'm hoping we get a win. I mean, we need to change this thing around. And Michigan State, I just don't think they're the normal Michigan State that I was, grew up playing against. Right? I think they're just down a little bit, 10-7, 2-4 in the conference. I think the Breslin Center, those fans are wild. I mean, talking about hardest places to play, I think that ranks up there. At least the years I was, in school, Michigan State, their fans had scouting reports on us as players and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be a tough one. I think we got to get out to a hot start. I think we got to shoot the ball well. It just seems like this team, when the ball's going in the cup, I mean, and more so than other teams. I mean, you can always say if the ball's going in the cup, you're going to play better. But this team, for some reason, they just feed off each other, and they just need to see the ball go in the hoop. And we also need to get Payne and Dawson going as big guys, right? The ball's not always going to be falling from the outside, and we need to get, Payne and Garcia are kind of our two studs inside, and then Ola Joseph as well. We just need to focus on getting them easy looks as well, because that obviously opens up the outside to get better shots for our guards in Mitchell and Elijah and some of those other guys. So, Kendal, what are your thoughts?
I agree on all that, man. That was really well said. I think it's going to be like you said, it's not the normal Michigan State team pass. I think it's just going to be whoever's mentally strongest in this game. I mean, as we know, it's hard to go play at Michigan State. We know how hard it is to go play there. So no matter if it's the same Michigan State team or not in the past, it's going to be tough to win. And I think whichever one of these teams, can really stay together. They both have somewhat young teams. Whichever team can stay together is going to win the game. And we're going to have to get a lot of paint touches. I really do think so. I think we're going to do a lot of paint touches. I know I talked about the threes earlier, but if I talk about X's and O's, getting in the paint and scoring and trying to really control the glass as best as we can are going to be two big things. I know we're somewhat of a smaller team. So that's going to be important, and really just trying to stay out of foul trouble. That's going to be big. What about you on your side, Trey?
Yeah, I have to echo what you guys said with starting off strong. I think that first 5 minutes are going to dictate how the game is going to go. I like how we played at Michigan, and we competed at Indiana as well. It wasn't just a blowout. I mean, we competed. We weren't hitting as many shots as we could, but I think with this loss, I think we have some extra motivation. I think the guys will be hungry, more focused, and I know the scouting report is going to be the coaches do a great job, and Josh Adele, Jason Kemp, Thor, they do a great job with scout. So the guys will be prepared. It's like you said, Kendal, about mentality. We come out mentally tough, match their physicality. I don't care if as long as Tom Izzo is there, that team they may not have as much talent, but they're going to be physical. So sure. I think if we take care of that part, first 5 minutes, come out focused, I think we have a good shot at pulling it out.
Those Michigan State games that was the most physical games ever. Like, I remember we opened up against Michigan State my first year with the University of Minnesota, and non-conference was cool. Then the first play of the game, I had 3 dudes on my back over the bag, and I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
Yo,
like, it was crazy. then like the biggest thing, like it's as long as Tom Izzo's there, they're gonna play tough. And we got to rebound. We got out rebounded by Iowa. Like we got to come in and set the tone early.
Yeah. Setting the tone on the road in the Big Ten is so pivotal. It's so pivotal.
It's huge. It's huge. It's really the recipe for success in the Big Ten. That's really what it is. And I agree with what y'all are saying. It's been tough, man. I think we all remember them first times we stepped in at Michigan State. When I first saw Draymond yelling at me and I wasn't even playing, I knew that it was different at Michigan State. So it's
man,
tough.
I remember I had to go Raymond Morgan. You remember him? That guy was a grown man, and I was a freshman. I'm like, oh boy, man, this is another level. And he was like 6'8", and I was lying. I was 6'4". I'm like 6'2". Oh man,
different, man. Draymond. It's some guys that's gone through Michigan State, but I think our guys can come out with this win. I think they can come out with this win. I think all of us can agree we're super optimistic. I think Coach Johnson's gonna get these guys ready, gonna keep them positive, and just like them, we all gotta stay positive too. And this is a quick message to the fans, man. Let's stay positive out here and let's keep trying to push. I think we're not the only program that's going through stuff right now, and I go look at a lot of other programs too, and they're not as negative. I'll say that. So let's just try and really stay positive out here, man, because these guys need it. And everybody that's in Minneapolis, pack the barn. I see Dre there every game. I see Trev there. I think Blake's there, but he likes to stay low key. But if you're in Minneapolis, go pack that barn.
Ladies, don't give me good seats like these two guys, man. I'm old news.
We gotta get Blake seats. Ben, Kelsey, somebody get Blake Hoffarber some better seats. But everybody, thanks for listening to another episode of Outside the Barn. Andre Hollins, man, we appreciate you joining us today on this episode. I think we have to get him back on soon, right, fellas?
That's right. Yeah, as long as he doesn't hop on that Stanford podcast, we're good.
Appreciate y'all having me, man. It's been fun.
All right,
Appreciate it. Well, thank you everybody for listening. This is another episode Outside the Barn. We'll see you guys next time.